Alright, so this is my Walking Dead theory, and this is, personally, what I think they might be going with the series. This is just a theory. Why they have Rick leave, um, why Denai Guerrera's contract might be up, and why they're bringing characters into the last season of Fear, which is season 5. Now, hopefully, you guys can hear me pretty good. I don't know when this video is going to be up, so I just want to get that statement out the way first, because it is, the 2nd of February. Well, no, I take that back. It's February, which is the second month. It is the 6th of 2019. So, I've been taking a break from this channel. So, I don't know how The Walking Dead is going to play out, but I'm still going to make this video because, again, this is just a theory, speculation, and I really thought about this. And I hope you guys, will hear me out. And again, I hope you guys, are able to hear me. And let's go ahead and, really hop right into it. So, first and foremost, I do want to begin with Denai Guerrera's contract. Now, is she going to be leaving The Walking Dead? I do not know. I do know she is now considered a B-list, if not already an A-list character. And I know she's doing a lot of projects, as actors, they're going to have other things going on in their lives outside of just filming to bring in other sources of income. I know she's going to be very much involved with Marvel, from what it sounds like. Is she because I do know there's limits to, the contract over the years, whatever show you're on, what has to do with pay. And as I'm making this video, she might be getting towards her limit, as in pay, how much they can afford to pay her. Things like that. We don't know if Laurie Cohan's going to come back yet. Again, it's all rumors right now and speculation that she'll return sometime in season 7. So I just want to get this stuff out the way. Now, I do want to get onto the actual theory on what I think they're going to be doing and why they're going to be probably wrapping up the series with one more season, which would be season 14. And how I can see the next 3 seasons going, because Norman Reedus, who plays Daryl Dixon, and I don't know the woman's name who plays Carol, but she signed for another, 3 years, which is probably around season 13 at the most. I do know that The Walking Dead is dying out, and because of that, probably only 3 years left in it. Who knows? But like I said, I do want to get on with my theory on what I think might be going on and how they're going to have everybody tied back in together, even why they're cutting characters in Fear. So I'm going to go ahead and begin. So as you know, for the rest of the season, this is just the build up for the Whisperer War. Now, if Denai Guerrera re-signs her contract, right? Now, we do know around this time skip, during the, New Beginning, we got Pirate Michonne. Now, they completely took that story out. Could we get Pirate Michonne later on? That is the question. Maybe in a different way. May not be on the river. We may not get to see that TV adaptation, but I do think we are going to see it to a degree, but in a totally different way. So I want to jump to season 10 of side A of season 10. I can see side A of season 10 being that is such as the Whisperer War. Through that, as the war's wrapping down, because we do know there's less humans than there are walkers in the Whisperer group, and as it's starting to tie down, now, spoilers, right? Rick in the comics is married to Andrea. Andrea has a weird death, and it doesn't make sense. Like, you see a mark on her neck after the Whisperer War. It doesn't say if it's a bite, a scratch, a cut, or even being fragged by a bullet. It's just there, and she dies from it. Now, we do know that Rick and Michonne didn't get married, but we do know that they did become a couple, and Rick doesn't know he has a son. So, the question is, are they going to kill off Michonne in that way? I'm going to say no, because it didn't make sense in the comic with Andrea's death, and I don't think they want to ruin that. I don't think they want to take that big of a gamble. You see what I'm saying? Because I can see this really messing up what my theory could be and what a lot of people do want to see. And if Lauren Cohan comes back and she plays Maggie, right? I can see her coming into the mid-season finale from the Commonwealth. Now, to me, the Commonwealth can be located in Ohio. I don't know how far Ohio and Washington are far apart from each other, but at this point, there's no more vehicles. It's pretty much you're going to be on foot and horseback. Now, I know it's unrealistic for Daryl Dixon in this time to be on a motorcycle, and I get that. But hear me out. I hope they take that away during this, because it just wouldn't make sense. Right? So Maggie comes back. I don't think she knows about how long the communities have been split from each other, because she left during whatever beef happened. Now, we haven't got that flashback yet. Again, this video's being made before this. Keep that in mind. She comes back, she sees... But imagine she goes to Alexandria. She sees Alexandrian ruins from the walkers. Again, there's more walkers than there are people in the Whispers. She sees an unexpected person taking out last bit of the Whispers and some walkers to help clear people out of Alexandria. Now, you gotta remember, there's new people in Alexandria, because the original Alexandrians, as we did get confirmed, are no longer there. So a good majority of them really don't know about Negan, never seen Negan. They may have heard about stories of the war, but they were never involved. Same thing with Hilltop. Those aren't the original members. So these are all just ghost stories that they're hearing. They don't know who Negan is. So Maggie sees Negan helping people. Right? The smoke is clearing per se, literally. Dust being kicked up. She calls out to Negan, "Hey!" Turns around. He's in shock. It's like, "Widow?" It's like, "What's going on?" It's like, "Well, we have a lot to tell you. A lot has happened since you've been gone." I can see during another scene, it's going to be Maggie, Negan, Daryl, Carol, and Michonne talking, and I can see them being in a house, and they're resting, they're catching up, and they're telling her, "Hey, before, we've been fighting a group of people call themselves the Whispers who live amongst walkers, who wear walker skins. But we don't know how Hilltop's holding up. And as they're making their way onto Hilltop, right? Michonne tells her, "Look, ain't none of the community's been in contact with each other for 6 years." Michonne fills her in on that. Maggie's listening. As that, she's getting reintroduced to the older Judith a bit. She's first time getting introduced to RJ. She's in shock. She's happy. At the same time, we are getting reintroduced to a little bit of, not too much older, I'm going to say toddler age at the most for Herschel Jr. As they're making their way to Hilltop, we see how Hilltop is. And, of course, I can't think of that girl's name who's running Hilltop right now, but I can see her still being alive. And they're talking. Throughout this, the radio towers are working. The radio towers are working. Trying to get walkie-talkies going, right? Now we do know they got the solar panel walkie-talkies. As they're talking, right? Let me grab this dog here. Come on, little man. Oh, there we go. That's a Mister. As they're talking and everything, right? A voice comes on through the walkie-talkie. Maggie. And that voice sounds familiar, and they says it's Rick. And they look in shock, right? They look in shock. No licky. They look in shock, right? They're like, what's going on? Well, then Maggie could break out and tell them, I have something to tell y'all. Rick's alive. So then we cut right there. During the mid-season finale, going into the mid-season break, I can see the first Walking Dead movie premiere with Rick Grimes as he arrives to the Commonwealth, which could be located in Ohio. Right? Don't chew on that backpack, little guy. No, it's not meant for you to chew on. No. Come on. No, come on. You gotta go now. No. No, see? Can't be chewing on daddy's stuff. No. I love you, but you can't be chewing on daddy's things. Sorry about that, guys. So, we get the premiere of the first movie. We get Rick waking up. And he's getting introduced to Georgie, the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth is located in Ohio. I can see it being located because it is located in Ohio, just like in the comics. They fill him in. He's trying to move. And throughout his first experience there, it's changing him, but not too much. Not too much right away. They're testing him out, trying to get him rebuilt back up. And at the end of this movie, for the first part of the movie, right? For the first movie, I should say, I can see Rick walking into an office with Georgie. And who does he see in the office? He sees Maggie. They're not going to show us Maggie. I don't want to see it just yet. But I think what we could see is Rick's expression in surprised face and say, Maggie? and where that could go from there. Then once we come back to side B of season 10, let that be the traveling point, the planning point, right? Of figuring out, okay, Maggie's going to say, well, we have much supplies to help you guys rebuild back up. Because the kingdom's pretty much gone after this point anyways. There's no rebuilding it. It's completely destroyed. A lot of people are pretty much gone. Especially after a raid takes place after the Whisper War that no one knows about, that they did fill in the video game for season 3. However, I can see Negan staying and Judith and RJ going with Michonne so they can see their father. I can see Daryl going. I can see Carol going. And Negan's changed at this point. So rather than having Negan have his exit leave where he goes back to his house like in the comics, he steps up and says, you know what? Yeah, I'm no longer who I'm used to be. But please give me a chance and I'll help run Alexandria while you're gone. It's not going to be like it used to be how I was. And he's going to have to show his weight. And Michonne's going to have to let it be known to people like, look, Negan's going to be running things right now while I'm gone. This ain't the same Negan. These people ain't the same Alexandrians because these are new Alexandrians. So they really don't know Negan. They just kind of heard of ghost stories. And they're thinking, well, it might not be true. I mean, who the hell you had locked up down there, you know? That was old Negan. This Negan, this is a totally different Negan. You know, we can see, you know, Negan with his smarts, his leaderships, you know, having people, you know, pull resources, go to the junkyards as well, and get supplies that can be used to rebuild Alexandria, to rebuild Hilltop as well. And most of, you know, season 10, I could see them being on horse for a bit, but really being on foot and showing the, how can I put it? Showing their journey and obstacles that's going to be in their way getting to the Commonwealth. Right? Throughout that, as you guys know, Fear the Walking Dead is going to have 5 seasons. It's going to be on its last season. Throughout that journey as well, whatever remaining characters we have left, on which I can see we can have about, you know, at least Morgan and Dwight, because Dwight's going to be in Fear, and maybe some of the new characters again, who's ever really left, and they cross paths with our original Walking Dead people, right? So they're going to take people back from Fear, bring them into the Walking Dead. There's that journey. They meet up with each other. I can see that being the mid-season finale for season 10. They're in shock to see each other, but they look so different, so they're not going to recognize each other right away, you see. With that being said, I can see going into season 11, as they're going to be working on, you know, the next Rick movie along this point, getting that ready. We're going to start with the first half of season 11, right? Season 11 is going to be focused on Negan and the Alexandrians and the chick who now runs Hilltop. I forget her name. They're going to focus on their relationship, tying things together, you know, talking, showing their obstacles that they have to go through. Have it be times where, you know what, it's buckle down time. We're going to run into probably a bit of threats along the way, but show them the rebuilding stage as well. Not only is it struggling, not only is it running into field threats here and there, but rebuilding, building a new future, and have something special take place off screen what Negan's doing. And I'll get to that. Throughout that, to the mid-season break, we see, Oceanside come. I hope Oceanside really comes back more into a play than anything. We see Alexandria and Hilltop. They're all pulling resources together. We get to see how much they pulled from their sources to rebuild to make it look, decent, nice. And have it be, there was a lot more people that survived and new people came in. But they still had the council as well, putting trust back into people, but also cutting out the rotten tomatoes per se. So those that get out of line and try to do something, they gotta go, and there will be dire consequences. And I can see a lot of that coming into play. But again, we're seeing this new Negan, not the same Negan, but a Negan's like, you know what? I like this guy. Throughout side B of season 11, when they come back, have it be kind of like the pirate crew, pirate Michonne, but not on the waters. But I can see, maybe there might be some places that might be overflooded. Well, they have to get across with boats. Again, showing their journey, having them still go through these obstacles to get to the Commonwealth. Because there's going to be some time, because they're on foot. They're going to be a little bit on horses, mainly on foot, trying to find a boat or something that would work, or happen to say, you know what, we ain't got motors no more, gas, so we got to do it like the pirates used to do it. Row. Have a crew. Meeting, threats along the way on the seas per se. Not literally on the seas, but you guys get what I'm saying. Right? Then, with the mid-season finale of season 11, I can see the premiere of the second Walking Dead movie, which will focus on the 6 years time jump with Rick. How much Rick changed. Have it not be the same Rick. Have him be a leader for the army, right? Or general, or something to do with security or the army of the Commonwealth. Have him shown through his journey, people that he has to fight, the groups that they may have to face, keeping the Commonwealth people in mind, because they go by orders. They go by, okay, if you're poor class, you were poor class. If you're middle class, you were middle class. If you're high class, you were higher class. And there's going to be different types of pay going on. May not be money per se, but it's going to be kind of like money. Again, they want to make sure society's going to be running kind of like how it was, and they're going to be showing rebuilding civilization with railroad tracks, which is going to connect nations again. Because if you guys don't know, throughout history, building railroad tracks was a way of connecting states together to make a nation. And that's what they're doing in the comics. So I can see that being in the second movie, working on those, transporting goods throughout different communities through different states. Engine running, of course, with coal, and certain type of oil that it still can be around, So it's really going to feel like a Western. Big time. After, and I can see the end of this movie playing out. We got visitors. Maggie's back, but we got visitors. I could see a couple of guys with guns and Rick making the march in front as the gates are opening to welcome the guest along with Maggie, but have Michonne, Daryl, Carol, Morgan, Dwight, some of the other new members who survived along with, from Fear, and Maggie's faces, have most of them have them shock on their face. Of course, some of the new people from Fear have them be puzzled, like, who's this guy, and have Maggie have this grin on her face, like, told you I'll be back. And then it cuts right there. Then we get into season 12. Now, season 12, again, the characters I just named, they're going to be in the movies. They just crossed their way into the movies. They're going to be in the last movie. But I want to focus on season 12. Season 12. Focus on quieter times. Focusing on the transport systems that came into play. Even have it to where they discovered making railroad tracks and trains work again, along with help with Eugene. Have Eugene, stay back in Washington, with Alexandria. The only threat, let the only threats be walkers. That's it. But they know how to handle that. But have it focus on the quieter, just quiet times as they're shipping goods, meeting new people. Throughout all of season 12. Have it be a gentle, calm season. Let's not have any fighting. Let's not have any wars. Until we get to the mid-season finale of season 12. Which is going to be some of our characters coming back from Commonwealth. People are going to look puzzled. Those that are new and those that are old going to look. Those that been around are going to look surprised to see familiar faces, but be sad because one isn't around. But you had 4 decide not to come back. You're going to have Negan is going to want some questions. Which then we get into the third movie. Right? And I can see it playing out like this. Once they show up at the gate, Rick doesn't say anything. He just has them drop their weapons. Alright. Has his men and some guards escort our friends, the visitors, who I just named a couple minutes ago, into a holding cell. Have them be in shock, like, what's going on? Do you not know us, Rick? You know us, like they're talking to him. As he's walking away, because, again, we're getting Rick, but this ain't the same Rick. I do not want the whole damn amnesia shit. I'm cutting that out. It's gonna be fucking stupid. Rick doesn't know how to handle seeing Michonne again. He doesn't know how to handle seeing Judith at this age, who he hasn't seen in a long time. he doesn't know who this little boy is. He doesn't know how to handle seeing Daryl. He doesn't know how to handle seeing Morgan or Dwight. He's asked himself, well, what about Negan? So Maggie talks to him private in an office. Have that scene be a fill-in. She's filling him in. It's like, okay. Then we cut to the next scene. I can see the next scene being this. He opens the cells, the holding cell, has, the two kids and Michonne coming out, and he's walking with them. And they're talking. They hug. And he's trying to find the words of what he wants to say, but he can't because it's been so long, and it's been so long for them. But he's showing them. He's telling them what he has been through in these years here, how things work. And because it's like a way of life again, before the world went to shit, Michonne gets bought into it. Michonne gets brainwashed into it. The kids can have a life. He's being reintroduced to his daughter, and he's being introduced for the first time to his son, getting to know his son. Putting them up in a high position, in a high class of living in the Commonwealth. Then I can see him going back as the others are getting situated. He talks to, again, the ones that are still there. Shows them around, talks to them, but brings them into the office to talk, just not with Maggie, but also with Georgie. We know that there's going to be an uprising going on, just like in the comics, because the army really wants to get rid of Georgie. Well, Georgie's not the name in the comics for the Commonwealth. It's the governor. It's a female governor, but it's not a bad governor. I'll tell you that. And kind of have that plot where it's like, you got the lower class citizens teaming up with the army behind Rick's back, but not really behind Rick's back, but they want to take down Maggie because she changed in a way these other people don't like at all, and they want Georgie back in charge. But as they're going through things, how they're discussing the office, Daryl gets out of control. Daryl's like, this is the shit we've been trying to fight against. You're just like how Negan was. Spoiler warning, that's how Dwight is. How he gets with Rick and the female governor, because he doesn't want to go back to that. To him, it's that PTSD, and we get that with Daryl in this. In the comics, because Dwight flipped out so much in trying to attack not just Rick, but the female version of the governor, again a female governor. Rick pulls out his gun and kills Dwight, blow his brains out in the office. So I can see him doing that to Daryl. Daryl dies. Boom. People are in shock. What the hell just happened? We get a call on the radio like, hey, Rick, we need you really quick. Rick's trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Man, there's an uproar. An uproar of fighting. But the others come along with them. And they're hearing this. They like, let us help you. Like, alright, I'll let you guys help me. I'm going to have to put a stop to this. And it's a fight to figure out, is it going to be running, do they want Maggie and Rick running things like old Negan? Or do they want how things used to be with Georgie running that was better, but still felt safe? After this battle, there's still that elephant in the room. Then Michonne finds out you killed Daryl, but she's comfortable with that decision because she chooses to stay there with Rick, and the kids choose to stay there at the Commonwealth. After the battle, I can see Maggie saying, you know what, I see now, I was wrong. Maybe we can have some of these things. And Georgie speaks, we can have some of those things, but not all of them. Have things how they were when I was running, where people still, didn't feel like they just had to be scared living there, Have it to be going into that, not too many people left going back. And the ones that go back are going to be Carol, Morgan, Dwight, and Maggie. Rick, Michonne, and the two kids stay. Because they're going to be help rebuilding back whatever was destroyed at the Commonwealth. We get to season 13, which I can see being the last season for 6 episodes. Those 6 episodes focus a lot. With the first episode, we get caught up now with who everyone sees. And one part which would be focused probably a bit heavy is how Negan's going to react to seeing Dwight. He greets him. He hugs him. He talks to him. Probably, man, I forgive you. You did what you had to do. I forgive you. I do. They catch up. And Negan's like, what? I think I may have a spot for you. How would you like to run the military here? Okay. Throughout that, Negan asks about where's Michonne, where's the kids, where's Daryl. Maggie fills them in, and Negan's in shock, like, Rick killed Daryl? Rick's alive? Michonne and them decided to stay? But during these episodes, it's really focusing now on age. It's, they're aging. You get to see the new generation coming up who has an easier time in this new world of the apocalypse. And now Negan's thinking, well, what am I going to do with Alexandria? Like he's fighting that in his mind, like, I didn't ask for this position. But I don't want to let no one down. So he really steps up. Morgan, I can see Morgan going to Hilltop. I can see Carol staying back at Alexandria. During episode 6, which would be the last episode of The Walking Dead, they're going to have another fair, another carnival. I can see some visitors coming to the gate. We got visitors. Negan go sees who it is. He's happy as shit. Let him in. But we don't know who these visitors are just yet. They made it in time because the festival's just beginning. And Negan's like, I want to introduce some guests. Some special guests that just arrived. We get to see Rick, Michonne, and the two kids that are now grown up a bit. I'm going to say preteens at the most. Nothing too big. A lot of people are happy to see Rick back. A lot of people who don't know who Rick and Michonne is are getting introduced to them. And have this episode be spanned. And I can see a private conversation in private going on with Rick and Negan. And them, really tying ways. Like, really saying, what? How I was, Rick, I was wrong for that. Rick's conversation on his part, you know what? He was right, man. Because what I was building was for you. Was for you. But you stepped up. They really have this moment of actual impact that is real. They come out buddies, like arms around the shoulder and laughing. As the day is wrapping down, Negan calls Dwight, Morgan, Maggie, Carol, Michonne, the two kids, and it's like, you too, Rick. But I got a surprise for you, Rick. I got a surprise for you too, Michonne, especially for the kids, but mainly for you, Rick. This is what we've been working on. This is something that I've been working on. And this is where we get to what Negan's been working on off screen. He takes him to the spot where the bridge, where it all began at, with Rick's disappearance. We see the bridge rebuilt, not just with wood, but a bit of scrap metal and steel from the junkyard stuff mixed in, really holding it up throughout however long the bridge was held up and however long it was built. And there's a sign, a plaque, the Rick Memorial Bridge. The bridge that gaps the future. The bridge that brings the future together. The representative of a railroad of rebuilding a nation. And they're looking at it. And the ending cutscene, along with the words, is they shake hands and Rick says, "Thank you." And they just, everyone's looking at the bridge, the sun setting, and it fades out. The end. That's how I can see all this ending. And in a positive note, yes, we lost people along the way, but we got to see these people's journey. Not everyone got to come back around full circle. But we got to see where the stories were going to lead to. So it began with Rick, but let it end with Rick. And that's my theory, my predictions, what I think, what they're going to be going with The Walking Dead from here on out. From there, for spin-offs, I don't know if The Walking Dead even can last anymore after that with spin-offs. If they do, I can see a special for Rick's brother. Rick does have a brother, and I can see it be called Alien, just like it is in the special comics called Alien. You know how we call immigrants that come over here to the U.S. aliens? Well, they call us aliens over there, and I think it takes place in France. I can see that being a special. I could also see how, Robert Kirkman and I can't think of the guy's name right now, how they wanted to focus on other parts of the world, on how they're handling things in the apocalypse, how it started for them. I can see that being a fresh, brand new thing. So, not only do we get to see how Walking Dead comes back around full circle and how it ends with Rick, but we get a fresh, brand new start, not just with the special, but with something that takes place on the other side of the world. And that's my predictions for The Walking Dead. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Out.